Hi, my name is Charmaine,
I'm Teresa.
and we are Crystal Reflections. So, thanks everybody for joining us today. And we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to talk about joy. Actually, we're going to talk about joy and pain, and as it relates to having an open heart and being able to receive and hold both. And so I'm going to start out today. And the reason why that came up for me is because it's exactly that. Pretty much one of the things that we all have to learn is how to hold all emotions, right? In the heart space. And so I want to say that joy for me has been challenging over the past few years, and I'm sure it has been for a lot of other people. And Teresa has her own take and stories on this as well
Mhm.
too. And it's like, well, how do you put yourself in a place where you can receive joy and simultaneously hold this pain, right? So, as a somatic experiencing practitioner, one of the things that we have to do is, and if you're not familiar with somatic experiencing, it is trauma work for the body, okay? And one of the things that you have to do is you have to practice with, people that are maybe more experienced or people that are on the same level as you. And during one of my sessions, at that time, I had been going through some really huge life transitions, and some of them were pretty painful. And I was really just having a hard time maintaining balance in my life, just, um, I don't want to say getting by day, but really just having a hard time keeping this balance and remaining open, let's say, to joy. And I really wasn't having a lot of joyful experiences, to be brutally honest.
Mm.
And during one of the sessions, my body basically showed up and told me in a nutshell that I needed more joy. Okay, when we investigated. And it was so interesting because one of our favorite artists actually is Mary J. Blige.
JB.
That's right. Hardcore, day one A1s, right? Um, yeah, one of the songs that had come up for me, because music will come up for you sometimes during a session, was the song by Mary, I Feel Good. And, yeah, right.
That's
And
one of
so
my favorites.
right? So I was doing this
Yeah.
body movement, and you'll find when you move your body and like as you're basically tracking these sensations, uh, like I said, music came up. I Feel Good came up, and I found that my body was just like moving like this, like moving, my arms were moving out and they were up in an expansive way. And so when we investigated that more, I actually started saying verses from the
Mm.
song, right? And I
Mm.
started feeling like from the heart area this expansiveness. So it was, I feel good, like the moon is shining just for me. Tonight I'm fine as I can be. Don't you try, I think, what is it, to break me down? It's not like you could, because I feel good. All right. So I basically said those words, and after that session,
Mm.
it did something. It did something to acknowledge the try of being
Mm.
able to receive joy, the joy of simple things. A lot of times, and you're great at this, homie. Um,
The simple thing.
those simple things make huge differences. Mary is a very, very happy memory for me. She always has been. And she has been a healing music for me. She has been a friend. She has been all these different kind of roles throughout the years, from like, a teenager up. And so when I think about her, or I think about the music,
Mhm.
um, it brings me joy. I mean, she literally has a song Joy, right? Where she says that in a song, you bring me joy, right? So taking, I want to say, delight in those seemingly small pleasures instead of, oh, I'm going on vacation, so I'll be joyful when I go on vacation. Or I'll be happy when I go on vacation. No, what makes you happy that you think is a little thing, but it's actually a huge thing?
Mhm.
And being open to that, acknowledging it, sitting in it, and of course, after, those sessions were over, I went and I listened to the song, you know what I'm saying? So it's being very intentional and purposeful. And that did something for my heart. That did something for my heart in that moment. It really needed that. And so that was the reason why joy came up for me, at the end of our last discussion. And so, I see you over there smiling. Is there anything that you want to, share about your experiences with joy, openness, like having an open heart and, expansion, and how to hold both this kind of joy and pain together?
So many thoughts come to
Yeah.
mind, right? And I think three highlights I can probably discuss. I'll piggyback off of you with Mary, for example. So having that ability to hold both, it's not always easy. Your word is difficult. And um, one of the experiences that I had, and I have many with Mary in particular, of the joys and pains. And if you are a Mary fan, you already know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It is beautiful to see her today, just shining and glowing and growing through her healing process. So one of the experiences that I had specifically that came to mind as you were talking about your experience with Mary's song was ironically her happy song. All I really want is to be happy,
Yeah.
to find, so and that first, all I really want is to be happy, which means that in this moment you're not happy. You're desiring this. Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm sorry.
You're desiring this need to feel happy, um and it is in that moment that you are in deep pain, because you want, if you will, that balance of, if I just had a little bit of joy, a little bit of happiness, I could get through this. Is how I will preface this experience. So I remember, so for example, that song, I don't always, I notice others get excited when that song comes on, or for some reason, and it sounds like it's like a breakup song, or it's not, she's not happy, she wants it. And I think that, I don't get it, but for me personally, the experience that I had was that I was on the phone with the news, the really bad news, not happy news, of my father passing away. And that song was playing in the background. I will never forget that. So for me, the memory of that even changes the feelings that come up, or the emotions that come up when I hear that song to this day. Where before it was, maybe I was sad about some relationship, some boy done broke my heart, and now I need happiness. And in this instance, it was like, no, this was a core memory, I'll say. Now probably set in stone. Um, Sometimes I can listen to the song. Most times I do not want to hear it, or I can't listen to it in its entirety, because my mind and heart emotions go to that moment, that memory. Um, and why I use the word core memory is because my second example is um, the movie In and Out. If anybody knows me, you know my favorite character is Joy. I even wore blue today, knowing the topic, because this color brings me absolute joy. It's my favorite color. And joy was this color. Or no, it was blue who was sadness that was this color.
Sadness was that color, and it's inside out. Mhm.
Joy had blue hair. That's what it was.
Right.
I knew something was blue
Right.
about it. She was yellow, I think, but with blue hair.
Mhm.
And so there's something about that would all, like, she's my favorite character. I think if I had to choose one, that's who I would have chosen. That's who I probably related to. And so the second example is the image of her in the, is it the Forgotten Memories or something like that? It was a very dark and sad and lonely and quiet, and it's the kind of like place where you go and you get by yourself and you got to do that inner work. So this isn't even the body work, right? This is like the mind, heart, emotions. I'm not even at the body work here. I'm in this scene. It's literally like you're just sitting there looking around at your life, at your memories, those core memories. Some are really great, some are like you don't want to pick them back up. And in this scene, Joy is finding it difficult to be herself. Joy. And she sits there, and Joy is now crying. Joy is not probably having the emotions of joy in that moment, which is happy, bubbly, excited. Let's go, She looked on the brighter side of life, if you will. But in this moment, it was hard to do that. And what I would say she felt at that moment was probably defeat. And so why that's an example is that's that balance of, yes, you want to be joyful, you want to feel joy, you want to be happy, and all things, I'm one of those crystal reflections. I'm going to look at the brighter side of things. I want to reflect back the good stuff when you're feeling bad. If you're not feeling happy, I want to make you happy. In life, that's not realistic. And I think in those harder, darker moments, I learned in this scene, it's okay to be emotional, to be sad, to cry, to feel other emotions outside of happiness and joy, because to me, it's healthier. You're healthier. And I didn't think that growing up. I didn't feel that way for a long time. So that was one of the scenes that I want to say brings my third image, if you will, which I'm looking over here because it's in front of me. I wanted it to be real fresh. It's a Post-it that I put up at the time we were quarantined. This was 2020. And at the beginning of the year, which would be, let's say, December 31st, January 2nd, somewhere in there, I discovered my word of the year. And my word of the year in 2020 was joy. And I joyfully wrote it down. I have a heart and a smiley face. And that was how 2020 was going to be, filled with joy. And as we all know, I don't know anyone who lived out 2020 in full on joy. I think we all had our difficulties, I'll use your word, with this year. And I'm sure I struggled the way I described joy in that scene where I'm just sitting around. You couldn't go out, really. I wasn't able to go out. So I'm home, and all you had was to look around at your life. For me, all I had was to think about the past. And now you're looking towards the future going, what are we doing with this life that, now looking back and looking forward in that scene of all the lost memories, all the past stuff that happened and then looking forward to what's next. And for me, at the end of the year, it kind of came back around that this was my word of the year. And I actually posted, let me try to pull it up here. Because I guess, again, I'm going to try to have the brighter side of life. So for me, I wrote, each year, God places a word in my mind to focus on throughout the year. Late last year, so I must have posted this in 2021. So this was the realization. Late last year, it came to me. Oh no, this was 2019, that the word came to me. Joy, ... the irony, ... for 2020. So I wrote, he, meaning God, knew that this year would be heavy on my heart, not only for those that I love, but also for humanity. He gave me this word to encourage myself and to help try to encourage others. And I then, had to posted this, and then I posted like an image of like a heart with the word joy in green with a green heart, and outs and prayer hands and the sparkly, so light, kind of like, and with colors like the rainbow colors around it. So almost like holding on to that image of light, love, prayer, hope. Because I don't look back and go, 2020 was a joyful year. It had its moments. And I think that's the balance that you speak of, where you had to hold a space for both joy and pain. Because as much as I wanted to have fun, when we finally were able to get out, I was going out to the park and getting out in nature and smiling and giggling and being Joy, the character in the movie, with my girlfriend when we had time. And yet on the other side was this darker situation going on in the world, not just in my little world. And I would say, you brought up, for example, you said a happy memory for you was Mary J. Blige music, tied to that, like happy came with these memories of happiness. For me, it is the simple things that I kind of grasp onto, and it usually is something so simple. So for me, there were two things, or really, two things that pretty much got me through, I guess you would say, 2020, that brought me joy and brought me happiness. And it still does, and I think it always will, I hope. Because we all need something to hold on to encourage us, to motivate us when we're not feeling our best. And that was music as well. Two DJs in particular, DJ Scratch and DJ D-Nice, amongst many others, but these two were the ones that I would faithfully listen to. And to your point about the somatic movement, what really helped was dance. So when you got on the sets, it started out for me anyway with DJ Scratch. He would do like Zoom parties. And in these Zoom parties, I had lights in the background and we would get dressed up. I mean, it was a whole, like, we were going out to the club and, we were on the, computer dancing and moving. And with DJ D-Nice, you could see it in the chat. Everybody's up dancing, couples are dancing. And so that movement, and you see, I keep dancing, that movement was healing. Even in the midst of all that pain, the pain was still there. but we were, I guess you can say, doing our best to use the music to bring joy. And this is, as I say that, I'm thinking this is historical for especially the Black community. Um, I'm not going to go there right now. You know what I mean? And I think that it's culturally something that has healed us. And even in those painful songs or those painful moments, we're able to kind of, I guess the word I would use is be resilient, to overcome. And so that was two things. And then I would say, or one thing. And then the other thing is, you say Mary J. Blige. Anybody who knows me knows Genuine is like a place that, and if you, most people know me, that is a place I go to for joy, for my happiness. I do it physically. I go to the concerts and I'm dancing and singing, and that, to me, I guess you can say is healing. It sounds probably weird to people, but as a teenager, that was my happy place. Listening to music and my favorite artists. And that just happens to be one of my favorite artists, if not my favorite artist, because of those memories that are tied to the concerts that I went to. And I think during the pandemic, to stick to this 2020, I couldn't go to those concerts. And so all we had was these online lives, and those were nice, but it's not the same. And one thing I remember, which makes me smile and is a great memory, is we couldn't really do anything that year. And usually you spend my birthday with me and you couldn't come and I couldn't come to you. And this was a first for us, very devastating. And your way of bringing me joy on my birthday, or making it a happy birthday, was that you actually sent me a video cameo from Genuine.
Yeah.
I don't know I know you remember that.
Yeah, that was fun.
And it was like, I know you can't go out and see him. I know you can't come see me, and I can't be there to celebrate with you, but I'm going to go and get the one thing that I know will make you happy on your birthday. And to me, it's those simple things that, mean a lot. And I remember even in the video, he says, when this is all over with, hope, belief that one day this will be no more and we will get together. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. And it took us a few years. I mean, I've seen him since, but just this past winter, the two of us were out at that concert together, as promised. And I mean, we were so happy. And to share that moment, is powerful for me. Those are those core memories that, you wonder, why do you still want to listen to Mary J. Blige? And why do we are pandemic gone, long gone, hopefully. And I'm still going on D-Nice, and I'm still sending you messages. D-Nice is playing Janet.
Get on.
And you get online. And so to me, it's those simple pleasures that, and in this instance, we're talking about music and artists and DJs that bring us joy in those hard moments. And I believe that is how we can hold both, the space for both joy and pain, knowing, what are those things that encourages us? What music should we put on that? You're very good at that. Where you know what music to go to, what songs to play to get your body moving, to get you feeling better during painful moments.
You saw a lot of key things, and I was actually hoping the movie Inside Out came up.
It,
So
of
I'm glad you
course.
brought up you brought up Joy. I do want to, talk a little bit about those core memories too, because if you remember in the movie, like basically all of those emotions became integrated together in those core memories, right? And
Mhm.
so it looked like a rainbow, right? And I love that in the movie because for me, the character Sadness, I understood her completely because, inside I was sad a lot. I was depressed a lot, especially, just growing up and into my adult years. I fought depression and um yeah, like I really identify with her and in the sense also too that a lot of times people don't want to deal with sadness. People don't want to deal with
Mhm.
people that are sad or that are associated with those things. And what I've come to understand by spending so much time there is that that pain is necessary. It's a signal that's telling you, hey, this thing needs to be addressed, this thing needs to be healed. And, so that inner work, I spent a lot of time in there, like in the trenches, with sadness. And I think the trick is now, once you've kind of walked through that, once you've kind of healed, as much as you
Mhm.
can in that moment or that experience, how do you lift yourself back out to have the joy? The balance is very important because it is easy to get stuck there.
Mhm.
Um, and so, using Mary for an example, she was huge because I say that it makes me happy, which is 100% correct. But when you listen to a lot of Mary's music, she's talking about pain,
Mhm.
especially back in the day. She was talking about pain, you know, and the year that, her album came out was the 411. Um, my mother had passed away that year. And so I didn't, back then, we didn't have like what is it? iPods, whatever. We didn't have that MP3 players even. You had a Discman, if you were lucky, probably a
A
Walkman.
cassette
Keep it
tape. It was a
real. That's what
cassette
I'm
tape.
saying.
What's the 411? I had the cassette
You
tape.
know, cassette tapes, right? So I had a Walkman, and like, how many Mary tapes I popped and repaired, child? Girl, bye.
Mm.
You know, um, I wore her tape out because it was one of the few things that I had to hold on to, even when she was talking about things that were painful, because at the end of the day, which is important, there was connection there. I was able to connect. And that happened in the movie as well, too, right? Because joy and sadness at some
That's
point
what.
had to
Mhm.
connect. There's a connection, there's in the balance of both, right? And so connecting with
Mhm.
Mary and the pain of the experiences that she was talking about, um, it really was less about the experience she was talking about. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't, because I might have been too young to relate to certain things. But her pain, me being an empath, I felt that. So you feel Mary. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's why a lot of people are fans of her, because you feel her, you know?
Mhm.
And and so just knowing that somebody could meet me there was
Mhm.
therapeutic for me, whether I realized it or not.
Mhm.
And, just adding the music to it, just, it did something to at least keep me afloat, you know? And then you start, adding in the dancing. Now here comes that balance of
Mhm.
the joy, right? And making memories maybe with my cousins, my cousin Teresa, or making memories, with my other cousins, my brother, my sister, And so just family. And those are the things that seem very simple, but they are huge. And something that you said earlier is so accurate. This is how Black folks survived all those years after everything that we've been through. That is a learned healing mechanism. Dance, song, singing, all of those things it's healing. It is healing. And so there's definitely something to take advantage of when you're looking to hold both, right? The pain and hold the joy, right? And, one of the things that, we were talking about right before this call is relearning. Sometimes you're going to have to relearn how to bring joy back in. That's the stage that I'm at right now. I've been super responsible, super serious, super just like, forget it. I mean, like handling everything, I'm not even gonna go there, independent woman, single mom, girl, bye. You know what I'm like, please. Like I have really, kind of, been through it. And sometimes you can forget with all of these responsibilities, all the things that you feel like you have to do, that you really need joy. You cannot survive without it, and your body will let you know, your everything, your soul, your spirit will let you know, it'll all let you know, your heart, that joy is necessary. It's a necessary ingredient for life. And when we don't get enough of that, it can, I believe, make your heart sick, you know? And so for me, I'll share that is why it came up for me in that somatic experiencing session I had, because I really just didn't have enough joy. So after basically my body telling me, hey, you need more joy, I started to do more things like putting on my music and dancing more at home, you know, going out to concerts, and also speaking to the connection, letting somebody else know that you are struggling with this thing. Hey, ring, ring. Hey, homie. Yeah, I did this session and, right, like, I need to get more joy in my life. Okay. All right, bet. Now she's going to work thinking, oh, let's go to this concert. Girl, hop on this, real quick, on this live real quick. I think you're going to like this, you know? Or just knowing also too that if I find something, I can contact her and say, hey, would you mind, being my road dog for this? Yeah, okay, let's go. Putting it out. Then the joy comes, right? Because even in the concert example, right? Let's say we get the concert is 6 months from now. Here comes, homie, right? I use her name interchangeably, homie and Teresa, but here she comes and she's like, did you get your outfit yet? Did you get your outfit yet? So all those things, right? Did you get your makeup? How you gonna wear your hair? Did you get your shoes? Like those are the things that will basically also bring you joy. Don't take it for granted. Don't take those small things for granted, because they're really not small. And ultimately, the connection itself is important. The connection of knowing, hey, I have somebody, that is riding with me through this, so I don't have to figure this out all by myself. And not only do I not have to figure it out by myself, I can enjoy this with them. I can enjoy filling my heart, filling my cup up, and I don't know if you know what I'm thinking right now, but because I don't want to, get off topic or off subject, but I'm just going to throw this out there. At some point, we are definitely going to talk about the 5 love languages.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Me and you have done the work there. Okay. So when I was, talking about filling up filling up my cup. You know, that's what made me think of the five love languages. Both of us have been very, very intentional with applying that to self, applying that to family, and applying that to friends, and even thinking about future husbands. Yeah. So we've been very, very, very intentional, and you really do need to be intentional about what you're filling your heart with, you know, and keeping that balance between the joy and the pain. So you look like you was about to say
Mhm.
something. No. Did you want to talk a little bit about relearning, how to, you know, basically, you know, find those joys in the little things, or
I mean, you said a few things that I just want to kind of circle back to.
okay.
So one of them was like the depression and the sadness. That was key because I think that for me personally, oftentimes when I get into this joy mode, or I'm looking for these simple pleasures, I'll call them, the simple things in life that make me happy or bring me joy. Um, a lot of times it's because, like you, for me growing up, I was depressed a lot. Um, when I went out into the world, so to speak, when I went to school or if I went to the neighbor's house, it was usually going out to find or be with that joy, or find, like, the happiness was going to my friend's house. So that's speaking to the experiences. Um, Going to my friend's house, going to the neighbor's house. Often when I was depressed and sad, it was when I was alone, or when I was um not necessarily even alone in the physical, just I felt alone. I felt by myself, or when I got by myself. And, you start to get into those thought patterns that aren't so great, and you start to feel bad and sad. I think that you said that, you know, um, you would listen to Mary in those moments. So for me, again, I say I would, again, my favorite artist, I'm listening to Mary and Genuine. And the interesting part about that is that this is a male and a female perspective
Mhm.
of that pain, if you will. So um, a lot of the music, some of the music that I recall when this all began was loneliness, um, sadness, loss. So in a way, similar to your experience, that's how I probably connected or related to said artist, because in those moments, it's like somebody understands how I feel lonely. I'm not the only one that feels alone. And I think for me personally, it probably sometimes is easier for me to bend or lean into the joy. So that balance is not for me, it's always like joy, 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 happiness, happiness, happiness. And I'm often not balanced. And I think I have people in my life that help me with that balance, because it's like, hey, you want to stay in this happy, joyful state, but the reality is you are sad, you are lonely. And how are you addressing that? Um, for me, it is always music. Generally, it's going outside in the sun, it's talking to my friends, maybe visiting with family. And the concerts, why concerts, right? Concerts is a gathering of people who feel good. It's a celebration, if you will,
Mhm.
of whatever artist that you like, or just out with your friends. Like, when you go to a CQ live, one of the things I love is it's like this best friend song. And it's like, did you come with your best friend? And I remember us leaning in, and then, so it's there's this camaraderie
Mhm.
when you go to a concert or a
Mhm.
party. So those are my favorite things to do to bring myself up from sadness or depression. And I think that for me, the relearning, I guess, is just revisiting for me. What brings you joy? What makes you smile? A question I've gotten the last 3 years, what excites you? So years ago, I wrote a list. What makes you smile? Going out in the sun, being with my friends, being, some of the things I've mentioned. All of the things I've mentioned, I'm sure, on the list. And, as I grew, the questions changed. It's not just about being happy and joyful all the time, because like you said, that balance is pain. So it's like, well, what excites you? What gives you life? What makes you feel good? Going and revisiting those things. So the relearning for me is remembering what brings me joy, remembering, what excites me, what can get me out of this depressive state? What can I do to move away from just sitting and staying in pain? And so for me, it's childlike to some. But for me, it's probably just what my mind, body, spirit, and soul needs, because that is speaking to, let's say, those core memories. So core memories, parties were happy places. Spending time with family sometimes were both that pain, happiness for me. And friends were a happy place. So if you look at me now in adult life, I have the same things that I probably do that excite me. The color blue. When I go to work, people see me in blue, they're like, oh, you know why I'm wearing this. Either one, I'm feeling down and out and I want to perk myself up, or two, I'm feeling it and it's giving. Today, I can be transparent and say, I knew that I wasn't feeling my best to do this call, to get things done. And I know that wearing this color will perk me up. So that's a simple pleasure. I don't have to put on music. I don't have to pay money, because these concerts cost money. So I don't have to put out money, stressing myself out to find out what I'm going to wear and do my hair. Like, even that, those are things to look forward to. So what excites me is something to look forward to. So I look forward to going to the concerts with you, because then we talk about what we're going to wear, what kind of nail polish you're going to, all the little things that add up to the big thing of the event, the experience. It gives us a chance to spend time together, to engage and talk about the things that we like. And when you do that, it brings you joy. It puts a smile on you. If I talk about your favorite color, look, naturally you started to smile. You tried to hold it back, but you can't. What's your favorite color?
Paint, girl, paint.
Makes you happy.
It absolutely does.
And it's one of those things that I feel like we tend to take for granted, as you said, that it is sometimes just something quite simple that we can do. I thought, and you know my love for Genuine, so we could go on and on for days, but I just thought of a moment when we were in separate vehicles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My brother-in-law died, passed away. We were burying him and on our way to the gravesite to say our final goodbyes. A very painful experience. And you knowing me, you knew. And I don't know how, but you were listening to music, I'm sure for the same reason that you sent it to me, to perk yourself up and feel good. And I happened to look down because I got a text message and you screenshot ponies playing. And I perk up. You said you're laughing. This
Yeah.
is a painful moment, but
Yeah.
here we are laughing,
Mhm.
crying tears of joy, if you will, in a moment. And it was a moment.
It was a moment.
But that was a moment that I couldn't even not share just now, because it was a moment of that balance
Mhm.
of joy and pain and holding space for both. And something that we haven't really spoken too much about is that heart expansion.
Mhm.
So in that moment, it expands my heart, because in that moment, both pain and joy, now I have a core memory tied to that painful moment that is also a joyful moment, where my best friend and cousin and my homie knew that that would perk me up and make me happy. Now, I don't know what it is about that beat drop, because I was at CQ Live and D Nice dropped it, and I stood up like straight away,
Girl.
ready for the show. And I think, and I keep bringing that up, and I know you understand, but it's because that is a happy song for me. That is a song. Let's not talk about what it's about. It's just what it definitely has ties to a point in my life when I was not happy. Life was not good for me. And for whatever reason, that song would always kind of make me happy. It made me feel good, make me want to dance. Um, and I think that those are the little things that you brought up, the 5 love languages, which we don't have to get into, right? But that is one of the things that fills me up, with what he calls your love tank. It fills up my cup, because I feel like you took that moment to make me happy or make me smile in a moment of sadness. So it expands my heart space. Most relationships that I call my closest, my rocks, were were created in a foundation of both joy and pain. And in those moments of connection and engagement, my heart was expanded. And I think, what led us to this conversation was having the ability to receive. So I'm receiving not only the joyful moments, we're not sharing in only the joyful moments, but we're also sharing an experience through pain. And that is why you probably have that heart expansion listening to Mary J. Blige, and why I have the heart expansion listening to Genuine, because or even D Nice, like I said, DJ Scratch, like we were all together as a community, coming together to not only share in the pain, but also the joy. Like any example we've used had that balance that you speak of. And what happened is a heart expansion, so that when you now we're out in the world, now we're out and about, one of my goals is to see DJ Scratch live doing what we shared in that moment, to have that heart expansion. I haven't seen him face to face in many years, but what a heart expansion to see you, these people I name, in an environment where we're able to share both that heartache and pain, but also the joys of life through those simple pleasures. And to me, when you talk about, the somatic healing and the body movement, dance. So you're talking heart expansion, your blood flowing. Like there's such an experience to be had in these moments that I often call simple pleasures.
Yeah, very
Um,
well said.
yeah, that, expands that heart. And I just feel like a lot of times what brings us joy oftentimes is tied to some form of pain at some point in our journey. Um, so receiving both, as you illustrated, joy and sadness had to come together. I mean, they all came together eventually, but in what we're talking about, that joy and that sadness coming together creates phenomenal core memories
Mhm. It does. It does.
that you carry with you in your heart.
Mhm.
And I believe we can share with each other. There's something about sharing and us communing and coming together in joy and in pain.
Mhm. Yeah, the connection is so important because
Mhm.
you don't have to carry the burdens of sadness on your own, and you get to enjoy joy together,
Right.
you know? So there's something about that, and I really hope that
Mhm.
people start to connect more and find people that they can really trust, at least
Mhm.
one person, or more, but at least one person that you can share both your joys and pains, you know, your sorrows and your happiness, because I do agree, some of the best moments in my life, they actually contain both, you know. And but you know, even in those instances, it's so interesting. A lot of times the joy winds up outweighing the pain, you know. I
More
thought,
often than not.
right, and I thought of like giving birth, child, that's painful. But you forget about it, right? As soon as you see that baby, you forget all about it, you know. It becomes a story at that point, you know. So there we just have such a capacity, I think, human beings, to love, to receive. I think that we've learned how to just give. I think a lot of us have learned how to give, but I think it is very important to learn how to receive. And that's where I'm at right now. Because when you're a giver, you want somebody to receive what you're giving, right? On the other end. And when you're receiving it, it's almost like allowing and giving yourself permission to enjoy it. Um, And this in itself creates that expansion or that emotional
Mhm.
resiliency, you know, that you're speaking of. So it's your relationship with yourself, but it also extends out to your relationship with others. And that's why it's important to
Mhm.
have an open heart, right? So you can invite somebody in to it,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
share these moments. So, I mean, there are so many different things that we can talk about, but I am thinking that this might be a good place to wrap up, and
Mhm.
we'll continue, you know, the conversation, you know, another time.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. So, thank you for listening, and
Thank you.
take
Tell
care.
us what you think.
Yeah,
Leave a
yeah,
comment.
that's true.
Tell us who you like. Who's your favorite artist? Where do you go and what do you do to find joy and happiness when you're sad? And
Yeah.
let us know what excites you and what
Yeah.
gets you going, things you look forward to. Be
Yeah.
curious to see what you say.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's see. I'd love to hear some core memories that people, you know,
Yeah.
don't mind sharing. Yeah. Favorite artist, favorite music, or something totally different. What brings you joy? Yeah.
Mhm.
All
Share
right.
with us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.